here we go. As soon as I click the button. Good morning, everybody. Let me turn that music down a little bit because I know it's loud. How y'all doing? Happy Thursday, FTG Thursday. Although I might change the name of that one of these days. I'm not sure what to, but I need a new feature. A new feature that people will come on in for. So we'll figure it out. But anyway, as you can see, up here, there's a new hate crime being reported at a college campus, and I thought I would feature that today as a story because we haven't done one of these in a while, and this one has all the markings of well, you know how these go. They tend to get to go in a single direction, and usually that is in the direction of what bulls leave on the ground behind them. So we'll go to that. We got a bunch of other stuff, current news. We'll start that right after the intro. Johnny, play the intro, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Yep, that's me. Show my face and stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet. And the reason I'm looking at my monitor instead of you is because I forgot to put this on locals. Because, every once in a while, I do that boomer thing. So anyway, let's oh wait, don't do that. Wait a minute. I almost messed it up there. Well, sorry guys, if you follow me at locals. I got to get better at this. I really do. Anyway, hope you're all having a wonderful Thursday morning so far, or Thursday afternoon, depending on your time zone. I saw some tweets this morning when I was at work, because I sometimes pay attention to my phone more than I pay attention to my work, although I get my work done. So that be that. And it was about another hate crime at the University of Delaware, and it has got one of these really sensational headlines, and boy, oh boy, it seems to check all the right buttons, but I want to go through it because there's some peculiar things about it that seem to be a pattern when these things happen that makes me believe that this is probably, let's see, I see someone writing stuff in Spanish. Does anyone know the Spanish term for bull excrement? I'm just curious. Bull caca? I don't know if it's bull, but toro caca de toro. It is caca de toro. I believe that this story is. I believe it is caca de toro, and I believe that. But I'll let you decide after we go through it, because it has all the elements, and there's, like I said, some peculiar things about how it's being reported, so on and so forth. So anyway, that's the main topic of the show today. But there is a lot of other news too. Let me jump into my notifications here though real quick, because I got to see what's going on. Looks like some people have retweeted the show. Thank you, Somnamble Nation. Thank you, Simon Wolfwoods. Thank you, Sarah, for either tweeting or retweeting my tweet of the show. I appreciate you sharing the stream. If you would all be so kind to do that, that'd be awesome. Also, just a reminder, I am both on YouTube and Rumble. If you're not following me on Rumble, I suggest you do. I seem to be getting a lot more scrutiny on my channel lately. I've had a few, not community guideline strikes. I mean, nothing major, but it's those things where they go, oh, you know what, your stream, your video, whatever, isn't suitable for advertisers, so we're going to take away part of the monetization. And when they do that, they basically squelch the stream. Now, it's interesting, the topics that I was covering during those. I think one was talking about he who shall not be named, the Voldemort of politics, the Hungarian-born man of Semitic origin who doesn't practice his Semiticisms or whatever. Well, Semitic's not a religion. Semitic's just part of the world. You know, Palestinians are Semitic too. So anyway, but it mentioned him, and that one is one of them, and then another one where I was talking. What was I talking about? I can't remember. But they have such arbitrary ways of doing that, and so I did the little. You can't even appeal it though. You can't. That's the problem. You can. They will do it. All my streams get that little yellow mark, and I have to go every day and ask them to review it, and then they usually turn it to a green mark, which is great. But lately they've been a little more scrutinizing of me, and like they always have been. I just realized as I was doing some of these shorts that they don't actually put all of them out into the feeds, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. What's the point of making these? They don't put in the feeds, but some of them do. So whatever. But anyway, let's get into the show because, I need to catch up because as usual I'm late. So let's say hi to everybody and we'll get going. First over the chat on Rumble, it's Avocados Diablo who gets the bell. Oh,
are the new
what the hell's that? There we go. Oh, and by the way, I was saying, reminding you to follow me on Rumble too, just to make sure you get the show. I stream both on YouTube and Rumble. I know for most people, YouTube's just easier or whatever. But they're making some nice changes over at Rumble to make at least the chat. The only thing I don't like about the chat at Rumble is you can't even delete your own tweet. And that's weird. It's interesting because I can mute users. Manage. I never even tried manage. What does manage mean? What does manage? Oh no, you can, I see. You can see who muted users are, but you can't, I can't delete my own chats over there, and that's weird. And I'm pretty sure you figured that out. Like at least in YouTube, if you make a mistake, you make just a nasty typographical error, you can just go back and mute it, right? Can't do it. Anyway, also good morning, Mike Savage on Rumble, Septus Wolf, Jimmy Doss. Whoa, what the hell is going on here? Why did this go to sleep? This thing's not supposed to go to sleep. Jimmy Doss Hotep from Hotep Nation. Why is that not working? Oh, there we go. I said Septus Wolf, Cannibalistic Wizard, what's happening? And that's everyone over on Rumble so far. On YouTube, first in the chat was Simon Wolfwood. Beat Avocados Diablo to the whole thing. Also on Good Morning Avocados Diablo. Now this is working. Good morning also to Mike Savage, Jay Pylon, who gets another one of these two. Good morning, Sarah, Simon Wolfwood, Lord Stanhope, Attack Alpaca, Nomads in the house.
Stop. Hammer time.
Also, Tyler F., Jimmy Das Hotep, Kessler's in the house, Aaron Meredith, Fox P2. Those ain't real, dude. Hello. Good morning. I think I said Lord Stanhope already. Who else am I got here? Tyrannus Alexandrius, Invictus Leech. Also, Ryan himself is here. Good morning. Special K on Acid. What's happening? Rotten Corpse. My favorite Canadian, Jaeger Pony's here. Good morning. Maddie's in the house. And fake news expert, late HP Lovecraft. Scribe Light. Dog Thrapple. I don't even know where that came from, Scribe. I can't remember. I just know we used to start. Someone just said something Thrapple, and you started doing Dog Thrapple. So I just said Dog Thrapple. Also, JB's in the house, and I think that's everybody. If I missed you, I will certainly try to catch up. Okay, let's get into this right away because, like I said, I got quite a bit of stuff to touch on today. Let's see, I got one more notification here. What's that? Thank you, Scribe Light, Hate Camel, Jimmy Das Hotep, Tyler F., and I already said Simon Wolfwood and Sarah for retweeting my tweet of the show. I greatly appreciate those of you who share the stream. It helps. Every little bit helps. It always helps, man. It always helps. So let's get into the some just things happening right now. I'll start with a couple breaking news items that I'll just touch on real quick. One of them, Christopher Wray, I think the director of the FBI, is trending this morning. And that's because Marjorie Taylor Greene has filed articles of impeachment on Christopher Wray. There's a town in Scotland named Walkthrapple, and Tailed mentioned on a show. I thought he said Goat Thrapple. and the legend was born. There you go. Perfect. So, and I am Dog Thrapple. Gok. Oh, Gok. Gok Thrapple. That's a goofy name of a town. Anyway, so back to the Christopher Wray trending. He's trending because Marjorie Taylor Greene has filed articles of impeachment on him. Now this is kind of, there's a whole bunch of other stuff about that I'll get into later. But and in fact, she just wrote impeaching Christopher Wray because of this something during the House Judiciary Committee. FBI Special Agent Garrett O'Boyle was transferred across the country only to be suspended on his first day. The FBI actions forced his family to beg and borrow warm coats for their children because the family's belongings were locked in an FBI-controlled storage facility. Wow, I don't even know what this is about. Hey, you know what? This is impromptu. I wasn't planning on doing this, but let's listen to this. I want to hear this guy's testimony. I mean, it's 5 minutes long. Man, it's a long testimony. But actually, well, let's do it. Let's do it. What the hell? Let's just do it. This is a show that is fluid, and I don't mean gender fluid, but it's fluid. And you know what? By the way, isn't the term gender fluid kind of gross? I don't want to hear about your gender fluid. Not at all. Anyway, let's listen to Mr. O'Boyle here.
Chairman Jordan, members of the committee, thank you for addressing FBI malfeasance and allowing me to speak today. Aside from that point of gratitude, I'm sad, I'm disappointed,
I'm sad
and I'm angry that I have to be here to testify about the weaponization of the FBI and DOJ. Weaponization against not only its own employees, but against those institutions and individuals that are supposed to protect the American people. I'm here today because even though I am wrongfully suspended from the FBI, I remain duty-bound to the American people to play my small role in rectifying these issues. After all, I never swore an oath to the FBI.
Yes, AD, you're right.
I swore an oath to the Constitution. I've served my nation and community my entire adult life, first in the United States Army, then as a police officer, and lastly as an FBI special agent. Shortly after high school, I joined the United States Army, where I served in the infantry, and I was quickly promoted through the ranks. I deployed to both Iraq and Afghanistan in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. I served in the historic 101st Airborne Division. I received the Combat Infantryman's Badge, which is awarded to those infantrymen who engage in ground combat with our nation's enemies. The Army's official motto is, "This will defend." Along with numerous others, I volunteered to serve this nation, risking my life in combat to protect America and her values. I know some of the best men and women this country has to offer. They come from all backgrounds, races, and creeds. They helped mold me into the person I am today. Each was willing to sacrifice, and many did, to protect this great nation. It is our duty to honor their sacrifices by standing up for what is right, regardless of the difficulty. After serving in the Army, I became a police officer. Police officers, like me, are imperfect beings, but we strive to uphold the law and the Constitution. People who go to work every day trying to make their communities better, yet who nonetheless are faced with budget cuts and calls for defunding as we continue spiraling away from law and order as a nation. While serving as a police officer, I finished my bachelor's degree, graduating with honors in criminology and law studies.
Good for him.
Shortly thereafter, I began the long road to becoming an FBI special agent, a position I once understood to be the pinnacle of law enforcement and a way to continue to serve this nation and protect and defend the Constitution. During my 4 years as a special agent, I received the highest annual review an employee can receive. I volunteered for, tried out for, and was selected for an FBI SWAT team. I also volunteered for, tried out for, and was selected for a new unit the FBI created. I also received an award for my work on an anti-abortion extremism case. I've been smeared as a malcontent and subpar FBI employee. This smear stands in stark contrast to my life in public service.
Hello, Blank. What's up?
This smear campaign, disgusting as it is unsurprising. Despite our oath to uphold the Constitution, too many in the FBI aren't willing to sacrifice for the hard right over the easy wrong. They see what becomes of whistleblowers.
Well,
while the FBI destroys their careers, suspends them under false pretenses, takes their security clearances and pay with no true options for real recourse or remedy. This is by design. It creates an Orwellian atmosphere that silences opposition and discussion. We know what is right to do, but we too often refuse to do what is right because of the difficulty and suffering it incurs. I couldn't knowingly continue on this path silently without speaking out against the weaponization I witnessed, even if it meant losing my job, my career, my livelihood, my family's home, and now my anonymity. It's up to members of this committee, current and former FBI employees, and indeed all Americans, to ensure that the weaponization of our own government against the people comes to an end, no matter the personal cost. As James Madison prudently opined, in framing a government which is to be administered by men over men, the great difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place, oblige it to control itself. The safeguards currently in place at the FBI are clearly inadequate and must be reworked to protect whistleblowers and others who are inappropriately targeted.
Okay.
The FBI can extract whatever they want from me. I'm willing to bear that burden. I've sworn to defend this country from enemies, both foreign and domestic, even if that means sacrificing my life. I've lived that oath out since first enlisting in the Army, consistently saying, "Here am I, send me." My oath, however, did not include sacrificing the hopes, dreams, and livelihood of my family, my strong, beautiful, and courageous wife, and our 4 sweet and beautiful daughters who have endured this process along with me. In weaponized fashion, the FBI allowed me to accept orders to a new position halfway across the country. They allowed us to sell my family's home. They ordered me to report to the new unit when our youngest daughter was 2 weeks old. Then, on my first day on the new assignment, they suspended me, rendering my family homeless. They refused to release our goods, including our clothes, for weeks. All I wanted to do was serve my country by stopping bad guys and protecting the innocent. To my chagrin, bad guys have begun running parts of the government, making it difficult to continue to serve this nation and protect the innocent. But I, for one, will never stop trying, and I'll never forget my oath. Thank you.
Okay. Now, the reason I even brought this up today is because of a tweet from one of those guys. You know which guys I'm about to talk about. The Krasensteins. Okay, the Krasensteins. And I had replied to one of them, and I want to talk about this real quick, because these people who are testifying before Congress, there's some various FBI agents and whatnot testifying before Congress right now, right? And so I wanted to find this, the article that went along with this, and I do have it here later, but, well, actually, you know what? Let me come back to this. No, I won't come back to this. I'll do it now. The FBI revokes now this is Brian Krasenstein who tweeted this. Details, the FBI revokes 3 agents' security clearance because of January 6th. Details, the FBI had just announced the revocation of security clearances for 3 agents. These agents were either involved in the January 6th Capitol riot, that's interesting, had viewpoints regarding that day, which raised doubts about their loyalty to the United States. Oh, really? Really? That's interesting. So then he says, here's the details. The agents in question are Marcus Allen, Stephen Friend, and Brett Gloss. Brett Gloss provided false and/or misleading information, that's in quotes, about what he saw on January 6th and about whether he was in a restricted area that day, according to the FBI. Now that's fascinating. That's fascinating. Provided false or misleading information about what he saw on January 6th? How could they say it was false? Oh, did what he say not fit the narrative? I'm just curious. Then Marcus Allen expressed sympathy for persons or organizations that advocate, threaten, or use force or violence, end quote, according to the FBI. So he expressed sympathy. What, for maybe some people who went to jail for just hanging around, walk into unguarded doors and look around, and then some of those people go to jail? I don't know. What kind of, I guess I need some details. And then Stephen Friend lost his clearance because he refused last summer to take part in a SWAT arrest of a January 6th suspect. Now, you do realize that some of these SWAT arrests were of people who probably were no threat whatsoever, and they probably could have just walked in and showed a warrant and said arrested them. But no, they went in with SWAT teams because they went in and showed excessive force on some of these people just to make a show of it, right? Then he continues, both Marcus Allen and Stephen Friend are also set to testify before the GOP-led House Judiciary Committee investigating what Republicans say is the weaponization of the government against conservatives. Oh, now I get it. These security clearance revocations are a shot across the bow. These guys are testifying, and they probably know a little bit of how the FBI works, seeing as they are employed by the FBI, right? And so this is saying, well, we're going to remove your security clearances. And here's what happens when they do that, okay? So, by the way, the gloss one, it kind of seems to be legitimate, right? It seems like a legitimate reason to lose your security clearance if they can prove that he lied about what he saw, right? They say Brian puts this in here. He lied. What did he say? Provided false or misleading information about what he saw on January 6th. Well, how do they know? How do they have? Is he got a chip implanted in his brain where they can see what's coming into his eyes? I'm not sure. But if he did lie, I could see that would be a reason to temporarily get rid of a security clearance, right? But but let's talk about the other two. So, for example, Friend refusing to do a SWAT action, maybe because he thought it was an excessive show of force, right? Now, that might be worthy of a reprimand or assigning someone else to that detail, but losing your security clearance over it? Oh, wait, he's about to testify before Congress, right? Allen showing sympathy. That seems like a thought crime, right? Now I'm real curious to hear the details of that one. But anyway, for those two, it looks like a shot across the bow before they testify before Congress. They probably know a little too much about how the FBI operates. Also, it seems like a good way to discredit them in advance, and it gives the media and pundits some talking points about these guys. Well, these are some disgruntled employees because they got rid of their security clearance. You shouldn't listen to their testimony. They are rotten bad people and should never be allowed to have a security clearance in the FBI again, right? Now, somebody replied to me. Someone said, it sounds like what the IRS recently did by removing the team that was investigating Hunter Biden. They knew that there was a whistleblower on the team, but either didn't know who it was or didn't want it to appear as retaliation, so they got rid of the whole team. That is spot on. That is spot on. So anyway, let's see. I have a story about this. I think I do. I wasn't planning on doing this, but where is it? Here we go. So here's a story in the Washington Examiner about this. Let's check this one out. Center? No, left. There we go. All right. FBI agents lose security clearances ahead of congressional testimony. The FBI has revoked the security clearance of 3 of its agents for matters related to the January 6th Capitol riot. The agency told lawmakers in a letter on Wednesday. How convenient. Do you think this is going to stop them from testifying? The action of the agents reportedly drew into question their allegiance to the United States. Really? Really? That's a really, really harsh thing to say about someone who dedicated their lives to the United States. We're willing to give their lives for this country. That's a big damn deal. And again, it gives the media and pundits, particularly the anti-Trump types, it gives them a talking point, right? Oh, well, questioned their allegiance to the United States. According to a letter obtained by the New York Times that was submitted a day before 2 agents were set to testify in front of the House Judiciary Committee investigating the weaponization of the federal government. Now, these agents, Marcus Allen, Stephen Friend, and Brett Gloss, have also been suspended pending the review of their cases, according to the New York Times. How convenient. So let's see. Gloss, whose security clearance was revoked 2 weeks ago, was allegedly in a restricted area of the Capitol grounds on the day of the attack. Well, I'm sure there were a lot of FBI agents in a restricted area of the Capitol grounds. I bet there's a whole bunch of them floating around there, probably undercover, but still, there's a whole bunch of those agents around there, as we probably know. Now, here's the other part what I don't get. This is a FBI agent, okay? FBI agent. They say he was allegedly in a restricted area of the Capitol grounds on the day of the attack, which is a federal offense. He also reportedly lied about being in a restricted area and gave false or misleading information on what he saw the day of the riot. He also failed to admit he was near the Capitol on January 6th, despite being warned, I suppose it's supposed to be not to do so. Okay, now, let's just say, not Marcus Allen, the running back. So let's just say I could see why that might be a reason to revoke a security clearance, though, if all of that is true. All right, moving on. Mr. Gloss's refusal to provide full and frank and truthful answers to lawful questions of security officials in connection with a personnel security or trustworthiness determination should result in an adverse clearance action, the letter said. The letter also noted that Gloss denied witnessing any violence and denied being in a restricted area, but photos and video of the riot paint a different picture. That doesn't mean he was in the area where oh my gosh. That doesn't mean he was in the area where the violence was happening. Who knows if he saw it? Photos, okay, whatever. Allen had his top secret security clearance revoked after, quote, he expressed sympathy for persons or organizations that advocate, threaten, or use force or violence, end quote, according to the letter. Allen allegedly sent emails from his work account to warn colleagues to be careful with investigative inquiries or leads related to the riot. Now, that's a little more than what Brian Krasenstein said. Allen also failed to provide relevant information to other agents investigating the riot about people who allegedly took part in the attack. When Allen was asked to conduct open source research about a suspected January 6th protester, he came back claiming the suspect had not been involved in criminal activity, but the case was reopened when a different agent saw that the man allegedly assaulted police at the Capitol. Friend, who was the most recent person to have his clearance revoked Tuesday, refused to take part in a SWAT raid at the home of a protester last summer, arguing it was excessive use of force. Ha! I was spot on, right? Quote, I have an oath to uphold the Constitution, Fred said. On the day of the raid, I have a moral objection and want to be considered a conscientious objector. Wow, so they removed his security clearance for that? Really, that's pretty retaliatory, isn't it? It's preemptive retaliatory action before they go to Congress. Now, the raid was at the home of a suspected protester who allegedly posted a video of himself outside the Capitol in body armor and a gas mask carrying an AR-style rifle. Wait a minute. What? Allegedly posted a video of himself outside the Capitol in body armor and a gas mask carrying an AR-style rifle. How could that be? How could he? It had to be like what is it, CGI or whatever you call it? Because there's no such people doing that on January 6th. But Friend espoused an alternative narrative about the events at the U.S. Capitol during his communications with his bosses about refusing to participate in the raid, according to the letter. Okay, and so he had an opinion, and so let's see, but not an AR-style rifle. Yeah, right. An AR-style rifle. Friend also downloaded documents from an FBI computer system to a removable flash drive last September, but it is unclear what the documents were, according to the New York Times. Well, I'm sure that's exactly what he did. There's no way that it could be a setup. There's no way at all. But so anyway, that's a little more detail. I guess now that I've read the article, because certainly Brian Krasenstein did not summarize that well. Anyway, but still, it's just fascinating that two people who are about to testify before Congress are going to testify about the weaponization of the agencies by the federal government. So anyway, all right, let's get on to a couple quick news items, and then we'll get into the main topic. Here is apparently the Texas legislature on Wednesday night voted to ban gender-affirming care for most minors, sending a bill to the governor's desk that, if enacted, will put critical health care out of... Oh, this... Now, again, I got to remind you, this is CNN. So they're going to spin this in a way because they're against this, right? So let me read the next line so that you know this is CNN. If enacted, I need sad music. Hang on. No, I'm not going to play sad. Pretend that the sad violin music is playing. If enacted, would put critical health care out of reach for transgender youth in America's second most populous state. Now, interesting wording there. Would put critical health care out of reach for transgender youth in America's second most populous state. Critical? Here's the article. The text, okay, that's the same. The tweet is the same as the first line. Senate Bill 14 would block a minor's access to gender reassignment surgeries. Oh my gosh, we can't mutilate children? Oh no. Puberty blocking medication. Oh, we cannot chemically castrate children? And hormone therapies. Oh, we can't fuck up a kid's hormones and body before they have a full understanding of what this does and the fact that there'll be medical patients for life. Oh no. And providing this care to trans youth would lead to revocation of a healthcare provider's license. Oh gosh, there's going to be a lot of Dr. Frankensteins out of work if they do this. The legislation was held up for days by protests and procedural delays by Democrats in the House. House Republicans approved an amendment that makes minor exceptions for children who had begun receiving non-surgical gender-affirming care before June 1st, 2023, and underwent 12 or more sessions of mental health counseling or psychotherapy 6 months prior to beginning prescription drug care. Now, that is something that's going to screw a lot of people up. Because, you know, even the professionals in this field, the people who make the guidelines for this kind of stuff, expect that people go through mental health, evaluations and whatever for 6 to 12 months before you ever put anyone on any medication or drug that causes any changes or lack of changes to a child, right? But they're not doing it. People are putting kids on gender affirming, the puberty blockers after 1 or 2 visits, or 2 visits to a counselor and 1 visit to a clinic. So they're not doing this. So it's interesting. Who underwent 12 or more sessions of mental health counseling or psychotherapy 6 months prior to beginning prescription drug care. That's not happening in the United States. And that's one of the biggest problems. They're just, oh, your counselor school said this. Oh, let's refer you to a gender clinic. Oh, gender clinic? Oh, we talked to you one time. Let's start putting you on puberty blockers so we can wait because, puberty blockers are 100% reversible. Oh, they're not? Oh, whoops. Children whom those exceptions apply can continue their care, but must wean off from the treatment with the help of their doctor. The Senate vote to agree to that change was the last step required for final passage. Here in Texas, we will protect your kids. Thank you to everyone who supported and helped pass my bill. I look forward to Governor Abbott's signature soon. Bill sponsor, State Senator Donna Campbell, tweeted after the Senate's vote. If signed by Abbott, the ban will take place effective September 1st. Now, they're going to go into a reason why gender affirming care is so important. Because this is CNN. Gender affirming care spans a range of evidence-based treatments. No. Evidence from whom? Activists, maybe? By the way, apparently there's a new study that claims that this helps people, but it contradicts studies in every other place in the world. But they finally got a study. Oh, it's peer reviewed too. Oh, goodness gracious. Peer review is so important right now. Gender affirming care spans a range of evidence-based treatments. Again, they're advocating for this and approaches that benefit transgender and non-binary people. Wait a minute, non-binary people. Why do non-binary people need these treatments? They don't. If they're non-binary, why do they need any treatments? You can't be non-binary and keep your body and bodily functions the same? I don't know about this. The types of care vary by age and goals of the recipient and are considered the standard of care by many mainstream medical associations. Wow. It's interesting because do these medical associations all know how what they say is a standard of care is being done in the correct standard of care way by the people who determine what the standard of care is? No, they're not. And that's the thing. That's why that states are starting to go, hey, wait a minute. Let's stop this shit because y'all aren't following the rules anyway. Now, but there again, CNN is here to advocate for it. This is not even notice. There's nothing up here that says opinion. It does say CNN politics, but it doesn't say that this is an opinion piece. But yet they're throwing out some opinions here. Though the care is highly individualized, some children and parents may decide to use reversible puberty suppression therapy. It is not reversible. You cannot reverse the stunting of growth that occurs when you use puberty blockers. You cannot reverse the non-development of genital things when you use puberty blockers. It does not immediately restart at certain ages. If you don't start, unless it's precocious puberty, kids who are starting puberty way too early, your body doesn't develop an ability to restart it. Okay? It's just, oh my God. They just lie. It's, oh my goodness. Okay. Let me back up. This part of the process may also include hormone therapy that can lead to gender-affirming physical change. It's fascinating that the whole thing is called gender-affirming care versus an exploration of whether or not the diagnosis is correct. You're not allowed to question them. You only are allowed to affirm them, and so the gender is specifically to affirm them without ever determining whether or not there might be some other issues that are causing them to do this. Either social contagion, either autism, or other dysmorphias or whatever. You can only affirm. Isn't that weird? I've never heard of this. You can't, if someone says has anorexia, I've never heard of anorexic affirming care. Okay. Kids who are, dissecting animals as a hobby. We're not having dissecting animals as a hobby affirming care. But with gender, you have to affirm it rather than explore it. I can see gender exploring care where you go through some psychoanalysis or psychiatric help for a long period of time to make sure that this is what it is and not something else, or they're just not doing it because the other kids are doing it, or because their trans, non-binary, lizardkin teacher is encouraging it and they want to be just like their teacher. No, we're just automatically affirming, and they get taught how to, force doctors to do it, because all they have to do is say, well, yeah, I'm feeling suicidal. They're taught this. Kids are taught this by their, lizardkin, non-binary, lesbian teacher. It's just amazing. Surgical interventions, however, are not typically done on children, and many healthcare providers do not offer them to minors. Wait a minute. I thought some of these people said that they're not being done to minors, and they don't offer them to minors. Now listen to that sentence carefully. Surgical interventions, however, are not typically done on children. Oh, so not typically, but they are. And many healthcare providers do not offer them to minors. Oh, many healthcare providers do not offer them to minors? That sounds like most do. Fascinating use of verbiage there, CNN. Some Republicans have expressed concern over long-term outcomes of the treatments. But here's, in the very next sentence, listen to this. But major medical associations say that gender-affirming care is clinically appropriate for children and adults with gender dysphoria. Really? Do they now? I'm curious what studies they're using. There's some activists in these medical associations, I guarantee it. According to the American Psychiatric Association, if Abbott signs the bill, it will make Texas the 15th state to restrict access to gender-affirming care for trans youth this year. Good! Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill banning the care in his state Wednesday, and Oklahoma placed their own care ban on the books at the beginning of May, around 125 bills that target LGBTQ rights. Wait a minute. No. Especially for health care for transgender patients, you mean underage, have been introduced nationwide in this legislative session, according to data compiled by the American Civil Liberties Union. Okay, so there you go. This is CNN advocating for basically physical mutilation of minors. That's really basically what they're doing, is whether it be through chemical or surgical means. Yep, they just did that. All right, let's get to the main topic so I make sure I don't lose the time, because there is a hate crime issue at the University of Delaware. It's so weird how most of these hate crimes, I guess they say, the hate crimes, they happen in all these northern liberal states. Isn't it weird? I remember we had one at the University of St. Thomas where my son went to school. And I called it out immediately that it was fake, just the way it read the newspaper. But let's go through this one just to give you an example. Now, the impetus for me doing this particular story today came from a tweet from someone I have no idea who it is. By the way, don't bother him, because I don't blame him for reading this and being alarmed. And normally you should be alarmed if there is a hate crime, right? And yet, my problem is, over the last 5 to 8 years, whatever, since I've been on YouTube, whatever, I've done a lot of research into these hate crimes, especially when they happen on college campuses. And what I'm finding is about 80 to 90% of them, especially on college campuses, especially probably 90 to 95% of them, turn out to be either false, just completely false, misunderstanding, or a hoax, or somebody, and a lot of the time it's the person who's the victim who perpetrates the hoax, because they're trying to, they're trying to start a conversation or some shit like that, right? So anyway, this is the tweet. Mrs. Hancock, nice to see you. Welcome to the show. Bolshevik powers that shouldn't be are catastrophic threats to all of humanity. I'm not sure what you were referring to, but thank you, and I appreciate you joining the conversation today. Sully, were you here earlier? Yes. No, you're just getting here. Hello, Sully. What's up? Nice to see you. Ray is gay. Okay. All right. Here's the tweet by someone. I don't know who this is, but anyway. My God, this is horrible and unacceptable anti-Semitic hatred. But here we are now in 2023, aka the current year, and America feels emboldened again to behave like this. Why? I thought the greatest president ever is in charge. Shouldn't we be not emboldened to do this because the greatest president ever is in charge? But no, we are emboldened in 2023, the current year. I'm ashamed to say I'm from Delaware, born and raised there on a college campus too. So here's what he's referring to. University of Delaware professor's office was vandalized with a swastika, bringing the campus into the throes of far-right hate. Now, listen carefully. The hate symbol covered a poster advertising a drag performance, which faculty members have taken as an attack on Jewish and queer students and professors. Now, I don't know. Is Inquirer, is that the Philadelphia Inquirer? I don't know. As in INQUIRER, which I believe is the Philadelphia Inquirer. This is the education section. And this is actually from yesterday. The University of Delaware English professor's office was vandalized with a swastika last week, leading Jewish professors and community members to cite this as an example of rising anti-Semitism on campus. Now, hello, Shrapnel. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to associate you with anti-Semitism on campus. I just said hi. Anyway, so then they continue. This is whoever Beatrice Foreman. The anti-Semitic iconography, which it also included a threatening message, defaced a poster for Philadelphia drag queen Martha Graham Cracker. What's up with all these crackers? Anyway, on Associate Professor Dawn Fallick's office. Fallick, who has been teaching her news, literacy, and critical writing courses virtually this semester, was informed by Department Chair John Ernest after another colleague discovered the graffiti early last week. Okay, now, this teacher's been teaching remotely, so perhaps someone else did it, but I'm still very, very skeptical just because the odds are much higher that this is a prank or a hoax than it is real. But let's continue. Now listen, this is fascinating what her response is too. I've lived all over the country in Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, and Wisconsin. So I have been many people's first Jew, said Fallick, 52, a former Inquirer health reporter. Oh, she used to write for the Inquirer. But I have never been targeted like this. Now, first of all, let's just start with that stupid fucking statement. I've been all over the country in Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, and Wisconsin, so I have been many people's first Jew. Hey, moron. Are you saying there are not Jewish people in any of those states? I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska. There's a pretty big, thriving Jewish community there. In fact, I went to high school with a whole bunch of them. Here it is. Some of my best friends were Jewish. But I'm just like, are you kidding me? Look, I'm going to guess that Fallick here, and that's a weird name. Fallick? No, it's Fallik, but yeah, I get it. Fallick, Jew. Okay, Ron Jeremy. Got it. Oh, my gosh. That's well done, Lord Stanhope. Well done. So, the idea, first of all, that this moron goes to anywhere but large cities in any of these towns where there are always plenty of Jewish people. I very much doubt that you're anybody's first Jew. But then again, when you're with a name like Phallic and you're talking about being someone's first Jew, I get a little, you know. Oh, yeah. She was my first Jew. Okay, that's not appropriate. But anyway, to Phallic and several colleagues, the graffiti represented at the intersection of far-right hate in America, where vitriol for one marginalized group, in this case Jews, is used to target another, such as the LGBTQ plus community. Now, I am fascinated about how this article is being written. So let me just put this in a little perspective for y'all. So somebody throws up a swastika on a poster in front of this professor's desk. Now I'm curious too, because where is it again? It says the anti-Semitic iconography, which was include a threatening message, defaced a poster of Philadelphia's drag queen Margaret Graham Cracker on Associate Professor Don Phallic's office. Wait a minute. So the poster was on her office door. I'm sure somehow she had to approve this poster being on her office door. So that's interesting. But her reaction is really weird, right? Wouldn't you think that if someone had a swastika on their door, they wouldn't be so nonchalant about it? I've lived all over the country, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, blah, blah, blah. And I've been many people's first Jew, but I have never been targeted like this. And then she goes on to talk about it. Oh, wait, let me tell you what she says next. Okay. I think I sort of hit the hate crime bingo. I'm a woman. I'm openly Jewish. Openly Jewish, really? Do you have in Delaware? Boy, I'm sure that's dangerous. I support trans rights, and as a professor, I'm in a position to impact students' perceptions, Phallic said. I am everything people who hate love to hate. Now, does that sound like someone who just got targeted by a hate crime? Or does it sound like somebody who wants to talk about all her intersectionalities and how this is such a terrible thing? It's so weird. Yes, there's Martha Graham Cracker, dude dressed in a dress. The incident occurs as Bill's... Now, it's also perfect for the reporters, right? Because now they can talk about the incident occurs as bills targeting drag performances are introduced across the country, including in Arkansas, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, and anti-Semitic acts, excuse me, rose by more than 35% in the United States last year, according to the Anti-Defamation League. Wait, is this the report? The idea? Let's see what they put linked here. They linked this report from pbs.org and whatever, get that off my screen. Are they going to be, there's a particular place that did this report. Oh, this was released by Tel Aviv University Center for the Study for Contemporary European Jewry and the U.S.-based Anti-Defamation League. There's another report that someone did that is by an organization that is funded in part by the Open Society, aka He Who Shall Not Be Named, the Voldemort of American politics, the Hungarian-born man of Semitic origins. He funded the report, and the report includes, as examples of anti-Semitism, mentioning his name that shall not be named. Wow, that's convenient. So every incident of mentioning his name was considered as something anti-Semitic. To which I've already made a video recently, in fact, as of yesterday, where I said, you know what? Talking about the political things that George Soros, and does and are involved in, is no more anti-Semitic than mentioning the Koch brothers being anti-Catholic. But they concluded that in their study to help bolster this 35% rise in the United States last year of anti-Semitic acts. So anyway, in Delaware, acts of anti-Semitism recorded by the ATL more than quadrupled in 2022. Wait a minute. So quadrupled, right? Next line. 8 of the 11 instances reported last year more than quadrupled in 2022. Oh, 11 instances. So that means there were what? 2 instances? Because if it says 3, it wouldn't be more than quadrupled, right? 2 incidences, and there were 11 reported last year. More than quadrupled, not from like 400 to 1600, but from 2 to 11. 8 of the 11 instances reported last year occurred in Newcastle County, where the University of Delaware is located. Holy shit. Patrick Ogden, chief of the University of Delaware Police, told the Inquirer that 17 instances of anti-Semitism were reported on campus. Oh, they're okay. I don't know. On campus in 2022, with only one. Oh, and here's the other one. Listen to this line too. This is another one that is hilarious. So, Patrick Ogden, chief of the University of Delaware Police, told the Inquirer that 17 instances of anti-Semitism were reported to campus police in 2022, with only 1 incident leading to an arrest and 8 considered unfounded. So wait a minute. And then 6 incidents, according to the family, were reported to campus police this year. So are the ones that they solved. 1 in 9 led to an arrest. The other 8 were considered, quote, unfounded. So either they were real or they were not anti-Semitic incidents. 1 in 9. That kind of fits the hoax aspect, doesn't it? Now, this is a little different because it was a swastika. So I'm guessing that some student or the professor herself are involved in this particular incident. And that's usually the case. Often it was a poop swastika and they mistook it for chocolate. No. Anyway. So Ogden declined to disclose the number of anti-Semitic incidents reported to university police in years before 2022. Ogden said the vandalism found on Phallic's door is being investigated. No suspects have been found. The University of Delaware President Dennis Asanas issued a statement unequivocally denouncing this incident as a blatant act of hatred and discrimination to campus community last week after members of the English department faculty circulated a letter in support of the university's Jewish and queer communities. Now, here's what happens on university campuses. I experienced this myself when my son's campus had one of these events, right? There was this kid who claimed that someone wrote the N-word on his whiteboard at the campus, right? And now, here's the funny thing. It was weird about this particular, because there's one thing that students of that age all have, and they have them and they love to use them, and that's called smartphones, right? And they have these smartphones that they take pictures of things constantly. Anytime there's something, they would take pictures of. But this kid, rather than taking a picture of it, just went and got some all-purpose cleaner, quote, all-purpose cleaner, as opposed to I got some 409 or Windex or some shit, and cleaned it off his whiteboard, and then he reported it. So there was no evidence that it even happened, but he reported to campus police, right? Hello, Manuel Presley, by the way. What happens, right? So he reports this to campus police. So it starts getting up the chain at the university, and somehow the news found out about it, right? So then this kid gets interviewed on TV, right? The kid gets interviewed on TV and by the major, people at the University of St. Thomas. And he tells this story of, there's this one time I was walking out of my dorm room and there were these 5 guys, white guys walking at me. This is a black kid. There was these 5 white guys, walking towards me. Now, the University of Thomas, by the way, is just a monumentally liberal campus, by the way. There were these 5 white guys, and one of them had like a MAGA shirt, and they said, you need to go back to where you belong. You don't belong here. Give me a story of something that didn't happen. So anyway, what the University of St. Thomas did after got up to the highest echelon of campus administration, the University of Thomas shut down the school for an entire day, had an assembly of all the students and anyone from the community who wanted to go, and brought in some professor from UCLA talking about racism and systematic this, systematic that, and talking about equity and this, and diversity and inclusion and all this other stuff over an incident on campus where they didn't have anyone confirm that it happened. And to this day, I don't know if it really happened, but I went to this assembly just out of curiosity, okay? And it was in this giant field house that they had, and they had all these students in there, and they brought everybody in, and I went in there with my camera. I filmed it. But before I did that, so I was just standing in the back, kind of, and I was standing next to this officer, and I said, "Oh yeah, man, I heard about this, man. This sounds really terrible, Do you think this really happened?" And he kind of looked at me and rolled his eyes. This is a brother too. This is a brother security guard. And he kind of rolls his eyes and said, "Man, I don't know." And they don't even know if it really happened. But they shut down the campus for an entire day, canceled every class for an entire day. The university president made statements to the media, just like this one did. They had this giant assembly, brought in people from all these speakers, and people were, screaming Black Lives Matter and all this other crap. No one knows if it really happened. They had no evidence it happened. So it's just crazy. So this University of Delaware president, Dennis DeSantis, issued a statement unequivocally denouncing the incident as a blatant act of hatred, discrimination in the campus community. This happens every time too. And we have, look, there's a website called fakehatecrimes.org. Has hundreds of these fake hate crimes listed by article, by when they, multiple articles showing what was initially reported to how it was resolved. And on college campuses, it's, I swear, almost every one of these I've seen in the last 5 years. If it's on a college campus and it sounds like this one, and whoever talks about it is making these lofty statements, almost every single time it turns out to be a student, a hoax, someone trying to get attention. And so I'm guessing, I replied to this guy. I replied to the guy who put up this tweet, right? And I said, what did I say here? It's right here. I said, I'd wait and see on this. A large majority of incidents like this on college campuses turn out to be hoaxes. I'm not saying this one is, but I would be more surprised if it were true. Okay. And he got a little upset with me. I said, particularly after reading the article. Okay. So he goes, and look, this is exactly who these hoaxes and articles are targeted to, because listen to what he says. How can it be a hoax if there's a swastika? Oh, really? There are dozens and dozens of swastika hoaxes. Literally, they're on a Jewish professor's door. That's pretty unhoax-like to me. I don't know, but this says exactly what this says exactly what placing a swastika in or around a Jew is intended to do. And that's never a joke, a prank, or even a hoax. It's ugly hate. No, it actually happens quite often. Maybe they don't know that. And I said, clearly, you are the intended audience. This is not new. And then I just sent them a link to fakehatecrimes.org. So then I guess apparently someone must have just responded. Maybe means it's statistically almost never a white nationalist, but usually a BIPOC. Here's a few from last year and a half, not including the BIPOC painting swastikas at DC's Union Station and the 70-year-old black guy painting swastikas at Atlanta Church a few months ago. So he put up a couple links to these. Here's one. Here's one. Okay. So anyway, that's why I think it probably not a joke, yet still funny. Yeah, again, I almost have never seen, I can't remember one that I've read in the last 5 years, at a college campus at least, that turned out to be real. That's why. Okay, that's why I'm saying, it's, yes, it happens all the time, the swastika ones. So I'll leave those tweets up in there, but I don't think I need to read any more of the article. Let's see. Oh, this is, okay, that's, and I'll leave the report on that the ADL puts, or this article on the ADL, PBS NewsHour puts it up. Of course, that's the perfect audience too for this kind of thing, because they believe that this is actually something that happened. But I do not. I just don't, because I've had too much experience with this. And here is a link. Let's see. White supremacy. Oh, this is something else. White supremacy. Asian man who assaulted Democrat congressman's staff with a baseball bat had previous assault charges dropped by George Soros-funded prosecutors. Oh no, he who shall not be named. Sorry. I probably shouldn't have talked about that. All right, let's move on. This is an article that I'll leave it in here, but I'm going to skip it. You can check it out though. Basically, this is Jean Catran, fam, attacked two staffers from Congressman Jerry Conley with an aluminum bat. He previously attacked two police officers in January 2022, stealing one of the officers' stun gun before being arrested. Despite facing charges including resisting arrest and assault on a law enforcement, the charges against Pham were dropped by Fairfax County Commonwealth Attorney Steve Descano. This is another Soros funded district attorney, whatever, who let criminals go and they go on to create more crimes. So anyway. All right, got a little time left. Let me just do a little lightning round for what's left. There's not a whole lot. Let's see. Jeffrey Epstein's trending today. I couldn't quite figure out why. And it's always a concern because, well, then if you scroll on any of these, you might get a inadvertent penis showing up. Tom Lucra, liberals be like, proof Donald Trump worked with Jeffrey Epstein. He has a thread about Jeffrey Epstein. Let's see. Jeffrey Epstein moved $270,000 for Noam Chomsky, paid Leon Bolston $150,000. I don't know what that's for. A couple articles about him. But the reason he's trending is because Deutsche Bank has settled an Epstein lawsuit for up to possibly $75 million. Now, Deutsche Bank had agreed to pay up to $75 million to settle a lawsuit brought by Jeffrey Epstein victim who claimed the bank had benefited from human trafficking by retaining Epstein as a client, according to the Financial Times. The lawsuit is one of 3 ongoing cases involving lenders to Epstein, the 2 others being a combined case against JP Morgan Chase, which is being sued by different alleged victims, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, where Epstein owned property. Jane Doe, the accuser, claimed the German bank chose to profit over following the law and knowingly engaged in business that would earn millions of dollars from facilitating Epstein's sex trafficking. Judge Jed Rakoff stated that in his order denying in part Deutsche's attempt to dismiss the case, said Epstein, quote, solicited Deutsche Bank's advice about how to structure his withdrawals so as to evade notice, as he was shielded by Deutsche Bank's failure to file suspicious activity reports. Rakoff added that it was plausible that the bank had directly benefited from human trafficking in his order to allow the case to proceed to trial. So rather than going to trial, because boy, you don't really want to be Deutsche Bank, even if they lose this case, how would you like to be Deutsche Bank being sued by Jeffrey Epstein victims for allowing Jeffrey Epstein to use Deutsche Bank for human trafficking dollars? Yeah, you don't really want to have that case at all. That's just not a case you want. According to the Times, dozens of victims may ultimately share the damages award, which was distributed by an administrator that will assess individual claims. Each accuser could receive as much as $5 million, according to the plaintiff's lawyer. Quote, we are proud to have achieved such a great result for the victims who deserve justice from all who played a real role in their abuse, said Brad Edwards, a lawyer for Doe. So, in 2020, Deutsche Bank paid New York State Department of Financial Services $150 million over its ties to Epstein and related internal compliance failures. Last year, the bank also agreed to pay $26 million to shareholders who accused the bank of misleading them over vetting process for a client. So here's the thing. Normally, I'm not a fan of, sue the guy with the biggest pockets, right? But if the state of New York got $150 million, in damages from Deutsche Bank for Epstein's work, how about the actual victims get some of that money too? So anyway, I'm not feeling bad for Deutsche Bank at all. Asking a bank how to avoid that same bank's notice takes some balls. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It takes some big old cojones. All right, other articles and links in the Daily Caller. Josh Hawley wants to reshuffle the entire FBI. Is that what he said? Yeah, they want to do some house cleaning at the FBI. Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri called for a top-to-bottom house cleaning at the FBI Wednesday. Hey, I can support that. Citing revelations for special counsel John Durham's report. Durham released a report on the origins of the FBI investigation of allegations that former President Donald Trump in 2016 presidential campaign colluded with Russia Monday, that found that the FBI did not and could not corroborate the claims from the now discredited Steele dossier. The FBI acknowledged the findings of the Durham report in a statement released Monday. Quote, this is the FBI. Jason Hu, what's up? Nice to see you. Jason Hu, what's happened? What we learned from the Durham report is the Clinton campaign successfully leveraged the FBI to try and rig the presidential election in 2016, and they just about got away with it. I mean, they just about got it done, Hawley told Fox Business host Larry Kudlow, a former Trump administration official. We know that in 2020, they did successfully interfere with the election, suppressing the Hunter Biden story, as you've been detailing. So what needs to change? For one thing, all the leadership has to change. The leadership of the FBI has got to go. Yes, they do. Then he said, I listened to Chris Wray's testify time and time again. Let's see. I've listened to Director Chris Wray testify time and time again that there's no problem at the FBI. They don't have a cultural problem. Well, yeah, they do, Hawley continued. They are lying to courts. They are lying to the American people. There needs to be a top cleaning, top to bottom. There you go. Anyway, you can watch the interview. There's more in here, but I'm not going to read it because I got to move on. And then, let's see, Harry Sisson. I didn't mention Harry Sisson. If you know who Harry Sisson is, he's one of the two, the Demobrats, I call him, the two Demobrats that make all these TikTok videos and, oh, yes, the Republicans are this, and they suck, and you're terrible, and we're good, and you hate us, and we hate you, and you suck, and millennials and Gen Z was going to be 100% out for Democrats because Democrats are so much better than you. Remember that guy? You know who I'm talking about, don't you? He's one of these little brats. Well, anyway, he posted this a couple days ago, and I replied to it because I thought, this sucks. This shouldn't happen to anybody. But then I read this thing. Did we do this yet? So here he wrote, now, listen to this carefully, because I didn't read it carefully, so I was kind of supportive of him, even though I think he's one of the Demobrats. Quote, I just got swatted. Someone called my local police department, said I killed my family, and police showed up. I walked outside with my hands up, and officers with rifles approached me and patted me down. They searched the house and cleared everything up. I gave them my information to ensure this doesn't happen again. I'm incredibly thankful for how professional the police were. We are safe, and I appreciate the well wishes. This shouldn't happen to anybody, regardless of political belief. Thank you to everyone for your amazing support. Okay. Now, my first reaction is, fuck anyone who does this swatting bullshit to anybody. I've watched Tim Pool get swatted live while he was broadcasting. I've heard of other people getting swatted. And they, it's a very dangerous thing. Okay. Police come to your door, especially when you say, oh yeah, they killed their entire family or whatever. It's a dangerous thing to do. Right. And I expressed that in a tweet to this kid. Right. And then wait a minute. Then I went back and read this again. And I realized there's a couple problems, okay? So, he says, I just got swatted. Someone called my local police department, blah, 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 killed my family, right? So he said he walked outside with his hands up, and officers approached and patted me down. Really? You just walked outside with your hands up? They didn't tell you to get on the ground. They weren't screaming and yelling at you. They weren't doing anything. You just calmly walked outside and they patted you down? Really? I had to think about that one for a minute. Okay? Then, yes, it is one of Biden's influencers. Yes, he gets paid through a marketing agency that's paid by the DNC. And so it's another way they launder money to pay these little shills who, like the Krasensteins, like Brooklyn Dad Defiant, like all these people, right? Then he says, okay, they searched the entire house, cleared everything up. Okay, yeah, that could happen. But the first part was probably not. And I'm incredibly thankful for how professional the police are. Now, mind you, he is saying, I just got swatted, right? I just got swatted, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff happened. But then in his very next line, he says, we are safe and I appreciate the well wishes. Huh? Wait a minute. How are you getting well wishes if you're just announcing this? You just announced this. How are you already getting well wishes if this is the first time you're telling people on Twitter? What well wishes? We are safe and I appreciate the well wishes. This shouldn't happen to anybody regardless of political belief. Thank you to everyone for your amazing support. Again, what amazing support. You're just telling people this now. So, then I went, and I've been every day since this is a couple days ago, 3 days ago. Every day I put in the words under both searches, Harry Sisson swatted. I do it in the search bar on Twitter. I do it in the search bar on DuckDuckGo. Nothing. No. So I gotta tell you, I am waiting with bated breath and holding my farts to see if there's ever a police report or anything from this. Because remember, this is a Gen Z kid, smartphone generation. So when they were out there, he didn't take a single picture of any of this happening. I haven't seen anything on his screen. I'll have to go back into his account to see if he's posted anything about it since. I don't think he has. I think he got enough ridicule from people throughout this that people are like, yeah, this doesn't sound like it happened. Maybe. I don't believe you. So, great. Now, there is a fake Brooklyn Dad Defiant account that has the exact same verbiage, but that's a fake account. I think somebody cut and pasted. Hello, Blue-Eyed Scream. So anyway, and let's see. Do I have anything else? I think that's it. Don't need that. I skipped Ace today. Oh, by the way, I did also, I put into Chat GPT, write a script to summarize the Durham report in 45 seconds. And this is what it came up with. The Durham report, conducted by U.S. Attorney John Durham, aimed to investigate the origins of the FBI probe into Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. The report concluded that there were significant errors and omissions in the FBI's application for surveillance warrants on former Donald Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. It highlighted the misuse of information and lack of transparency within the FBI's investigation. While it did not find evidence of political conspiracy, it did raise concerns about the handling of the case. Overall, the Durham report emphasized the need for greater accountability and reform within the intelligence community. Well, that's why there's going to be some House hearings on that pretty soon. We'll be hearing that. And then I did ask for 5 significant things that the FBI disregarded or mishandled in the investigation. Errors in FISA applications. The FBI disregarded significant errors and omissions in the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act applications, particularly in relation to the surveillance warrants for Carter Page. 2, misuse of information. The report highlighted the misuse of information, including the reliance on unverified and unreliable sources, as well as the failure to disclose exculpatory evidence to the court, which is required in the FISA court. 3, lack of transparency. The FBI was found to have lacked transparency in its investigation, failing to provide accurate and complete information to the court regarding the origins and credibility of the information presented. They lied and fabricated. That's how to summarize that. Failure to verify information. The FBI disregarded proper verification procedures for the information it used to support its surveillance warrant applications, leading to the inclusion of misleading and inaccurate details, aka they lied. And finally, inadequate oversight. The report pointed out a lack of adequate oversight within the FBI, allowing for these errors, omissions, and missteps and lies to occur without sufficient scrutiny, leading to a loss of public trust in the process. Oh, you think? You think? Oh, my goodness. Speaking of ChatGPT, did you see the Irish paper that printed a story written by it without knowing? Oh, no, I did not. I had no idea. All right, guys, I got to go. Thanks for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. As you know, I'm here Monday through Friday around this same time, same bad channel. Before you do anything, you know what to do. Hit the like button. Have you done it yet? 22 people, 32 people, 26 likes. So there's some of you have not done that yet. Hit the like button, share the stream, and sponsor the show. I need sponsors. PDogNight.live. The only way I can keep doing this if there are sponsors. Otherwise, I have to go get a 3rd or 4th job. 3rd, 4th? I have 2 jobs. I would have to get a 3rd job if I wasn't doing this. So sponsor the show every once in a while. I appreciate those who are able to do it and do it often. I'm not making fun of anybody. Sponsoring the show includes the likes, the shares, and just inviting a friend. So do that once in a while. I got to go. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. My name's P-Dog Knight, and I am out of here. Bye-bye. The links will be in the chat just a second. Bye-bye. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thanks for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.